Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the Magic Drawing Pad. If you've been following me for a while, you probably remember this short here that I posted months ago where I unboxed this tablet. In case you're curious and you'd like to rewatch it, I'll leave it here. Small disclaimer, this video isn't sponsored, but for full transparency I'll tell you that XP Pen actually sent me this tablet months ago just to test it. I'm not getting paid to film this video, so I just wanted to be clear. Today I'm gonna give you my full opinion on the Magic Drawing Pad from an iPad user and artist perspective, and I will also draw on Ibis Paint, which was very requested. I never tried it before because I use Clip Studio on Android devices and desktop devices, so let's see. I will also compare it kinda to my trusty 12.9 inches iPad. This is the 2019 model that preceded the advent of the M chip that is now inside today's iPads, and this device has been with me for the past 6 to 7 years pretty much. It's still a beast. Will the Magic Drawing Pad hold the comparison to the iPad and the power of Procreate? Let's find out. Now let's quickly talk about specs before we dive in. This is a 12.2 inches display tablet, 6.9mm of thickness, and it weighs 599 grams, fully portable because it runs on Android, and its heart is an octa-core MT8 771 CPU up to 2.4 GHz, 8 GB of RAM, and 256 GB of storage, expandable up to 512, 8000 mAh battery, and of course USB-C connection. It also comes with 4 speakers, very nice to see, a 13 megapixels back camera, and an 8 megapixels from camera, which sits horizontally. The IPS display is laminated with this nice matte finish. It has sRGB support and 16K pressure levels, but let's see how that holds. The X3 Pro pen that comes with this tablet has a similar form factor to the Apple Pencil, very small and thin, which is my favorite type of pen, and since it works with the EMR technology, it doesn't need to be charged, and it has the nice hovering feature of the cursor. First impressions of this tablet were very positive from a quick look. It's very light, the build is sturdy, and they also include this cover in the box. It's a nice touch. I was also super curious to draw on this matte screen, since I haven't actually seen many tablets with a built-in matte screen before. You usually have to put a screen protector on, and they get scratched after a while. I mean, you probably know the routine. As a plus, I also replaced the plastic nib on the pen with a felt tip, and you guys, drawing on this undeniably feels like butter. I can honestly say that it's my favorite feature about this tablet. Now, my main concern with this type of tablets is usually the operating system, that in most cases tends to nerf them and has proven to me through the years as both an Android and iOS user to be kind of unstable sometimes and unreliable in some tasks. As for now, I haven't noticed any problem with this on the Magic Drawing Pad, so that's great, but I'll talk more about this later. For now, let's jump straight into drawing and testing this. Okay guys, let's start sketching. First thing I want to talk about is the pen paired with this display, because if you're an artist, that is probably the most important thing, at least for me is. As I said before, the feeling of this display plus the felt tip is fantastic. The pen is extremely light, which is a pro for me personally since I have small hands, but I know other artists that prefer the opposite, so you do your own evaluation with that info. It's definitely lighter than the Apple Pencil because of course that has a battery in it. This doesn't, and sketching is a pleasure because it doesn't give me cramps. As for the drawing process, let's get more practical. I noticed that it doesn't have a tilt sensitivity, which for the quality of this pen is honestly a shame. This got me very confused, I have to say, although it is a feature that I do not use that much for my style of drawing. For some artists it is crucial, so not including it on a tablet marketed for artists isn't the best choice in my opinion. As you can see from the footage of me drawing, it's not like I am nerfed from missing that feature, but still, it would have been nice since some brushes work with a combination of pressure and tilt sensitivity. Even if it's just a small amount, it can make the difference. As for the regular pressure sensitivity, this claims to have 16K pressure levels, and I'll give you a visual reference with a sharp edge round brush and a quick comparison with the iPad. Now, I believe that the drawing process itself is what you need to look at, and I prefer to talk about how it feels more than numbers on paper. So on that note, I think that the pen is very responsive to my touch, it emulates my pressure very nicely, and consider that this is a brush that I randomly picked since I'm not familiar with Ibis Paint, so no perfectly customized brush here. And the pen, as you can see, is doing an amazing job. It feels extremely natural. Let's talk about parallax for a second. For those who don't know, parallax is the distance between the tip of the pen and the actual surface of the screen, which might change depending on how thick the glass of the tablet is, or even for software issues sometimes. I have definitely experienced that with other devices. So the closer the distance, the more natural the drawing experience will be. Let's say that the almost non-existent parallax is what makes the iPad my favorite drawing device today. But in the case of the Magic Drawing Pad, I haven't noticed any major parallax. The brush stroke almost touches the tip of the pen, which is very important because it determines how precise you can be with your lines, and personally it is one of the first things I check on a new tablet. Palm rejection is another one of those extremely important features, especially if you're like me and don't enjoy drawing with a glove on. In the box, you get a very nice one included. It is padded and comfortable, but since my hands tend to be very sweaty, I never really wear that. So how does the screen behave? When you disable the finger touch on the canvas on Ibis Paint, you can do that. There's no issue at all. It will only respond to the pen. Of course, you can still tap on tools with your fingers, although I don't know if you can tell by the video, it can be a bit laggy when pinching to zoom in and out. That's much smoother on Clip Studio Paint. I want to spend a couple more words on the display now and reply to a question I got in the short videos where I tried it for the first time. So, does the matte screen affect the visual clarity of the display? And the answer is that you can definitely tell that there is a coating over it, a lamination if you will. It is for sure a tiny less crisp compared to a normal glossy display, but the effect is a lot more subtle if you compare it instead to a matte screen protector that is very often used by us artists, and very often it might present some weird rainbowy dots effect if it isn't applied properly or it is a cheap one. To be honest, I wouldn't even compare the Magic Pad to a screen protector, because when you draw on this you can actually tell it is glass and you don't have that "oh my god, I'm going to scratch it" sensation. As you can see, I have used it for months and it's still pretty much immaculate. So on paper, this display features a RGB support, claiming to have very realistic colors. For my experience, XP Pen tablets tend to be a little bit oversaturated, definitely need calibration. Here is a direct comparison to the iPad Pro and my monitor, which is an IPS2 by Dell, carefully calibrated, and you can clearly tell the difference. The colors are much more punchy on the Magic Drawing Pad. Now this can be a problem because when you're coloring, you'll probably tend to use more muted colors, and when you see your art on a different monitor, it might look pretty washed out, and it can be frustrating to go back and adjust your colors after. On a positive note, although it is a bit saturated, I find the screen to be very nice in terms of luminosity and eye comfort. I didn't get tired at all while drawing. Very happy about that as a person who suffers with awful migraines due to eye strain. With hardware out of the way, let's move on to software. This tablet runs on Android, and as a person who has used both Android and iOS, I have some things to say about it. People's main concern is always software stability when it comes to Android tablets, and I get that because sometimes the OS isn't optimized at all for the device. Again, talking from experience here. During the past few months trying this device, maybe because I am used to Android, I haven't noticed any major issues with that. I think in this particular case they did a great job and the experience is overall smooth and seamless. Android obviously offers more customization options, but from an artist's point of view, the comments I receive the most are, "I cannot use Procreate." I get that because Procreate is a fantastic software for drawing, my current favorite actually, and it has been for years. And most of the other valid softwares are subscription based, which can be a problem for some people, and for me too actually. I am so tired of subscriptions, you guys. Ibis Paint here though works so nicely with this tablet, and compared to Clip Studio it is cheaper at least, although still a subscription, and I like the mobile interface much more. Now, it is obviously far from perfect, unfortunately. I encountered some lags, especially when selecting and resizing, but I believe this is a software issue because I haven't experienced that on Clip Studio. Now, I haven't tried Ibis Paint on the iPad, so take this with a grain of salt. See, this is why it's tricky to judge Android tablets, because for these minor issues, you never know if it is a software problem or a hardware problem, and I think it is unfair sometimes to these devices, which in my opinion would benefit much more from a custom OS, but I know it's hard to do, and in that case they would be obviously pricier. I know you guys wanted me to share my opinion on Ibis Paint. I got so many questions both here on IG, on TikTok, and my opinion is that if you like Procreate, this is honestly the closest software I have ever tried personally in terms of interface. Lots of canvas space, the tools are intuitive enough, and the Brush Studio has tons of parameters you can play with. Remember to turn on palm rejection, as I said before, on the settings, or it will detect your palm and fingers on the canvas while drawing, and that can be annoying. I want to conclude by saying that I tried not to be biased on this review. A lot of you asked me to compare this to the iPad, and even if I did, to be honest, it doesn't really make sense to do so, because they are completely different devices on different price points too. This retails for $124.99 on the US website, which isn't cheap, but of course still falls into the beginner/intermediate category. That being said, despite it missing a couple features like tilt sensitivity for example, it is still a powerful device with a great screen that you can't easily find on other devices, and if you need a tablet that does it all to also create professional art, this is definitely an option. So guys, overall my conclusion is I really like this tablet, my favorite part being the screen. I think this type of screen is fantastic and I'd love to see it in more tablets for the future. I believe that some of the cons are things that you can work with. It is a great beginner tablet. Honestly, I can see myself using in the future, so I really enjoy it and I'm really glad and grateful for having it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review, and if there's others Android tablets you'd like to see me try, please let me know below, and I'll see you all on my next video. Bye!